Hello and welcome to another Little G Fan Show. In this episode, we're going to dive into Godzilla and comic books. Because with the release of Godzilla vs. Kong, there were two comic graphic novel tie-ins with the movie, along with the brand new Godzilla comic series, whose target audience, I believe, is all the Little G fans out there. But before we look into those current Godzilla comic editions, we're going to take a look back at some of the great Godzilla comic series out there that I believe your Little G fan will enjoy reading. So let's take a look. Godzilla has been appearing in Japanese comic books or manga for over 60 years, with many of his manga adventures being adaptations to his many movies. And it would take until the late 70s for Godzilla to appear in comic books here in the States. With the release of Godzilla vs. Megalon in the late 70s in theaters, audiences were treated to a short comic adaptation to the Megalon movie that they would get for attending. At the height of its popularity in the 1970s, comic giant Marvel released a 24-issue long series, Godzilla, King of the Monsters, where the big green guy stomped across the US and battled an assortment of different monsters and robots. I definitely recommend this series for your Little G fan, especially if they're a fan of the new Marvel movies. Because on occasion in this series, Godzilla was hunted down by S.H.I.E.L.D. and came across certain superheroes you might recognize, like Iron Man, Thor, Vision, Spider-Man, and the rest of the Avengers. Now, the Marvel Godzilla comic can be found online and in comic book stores for various prices, depending upon their condition. The average I've seen has each issue going anywhere from $3 to $10, with a mint condition first issue commanding as much as $100. Now, if you don't want to spend that much on this series, I would advise looking for the Essential Godzilla collection here, which contains issues 1 through 24. The only main difference between it and the regular series is while they are in color, this collection is in black and white. But it's still a great way to enjoy this great series. In 1988, following the success of Return of Godzilla, known in the US as Godzilla 1985, Dark Horse Comics released an English adaptation of the Japanese manga based off that Godzilla movie. This gave US fans a nice little insight into the Godzilla manga, which had never been before released in the US. This will be the start of Dark Horse's Godzilla run that would continue on into the early to mid-90s. In 1992, Dark Horse released one of my favorite Godzilla comics, their Godzilla Color Special, which paved the way for their 16-issue long series, which is pretty dear to me because it was the first Godzilla series I collected in the mid-90s. I loved the art, I loved the story, and it really set the pace for all of the Godzilla comics to come. And here you have two tie-ins, Godzilla vs. Charles Barkley and Godzilla vs. Hero Zero, where Godzilla attacks at San Diego Comic-Con. Now, I like to recommend this comic book series for your pre-teen Little G fans, maybe ages 10 and up, given some of the graphic nature of this series. In some issues, you'll see Godzilla impaled by various arrows, bleeding profusely from a toxin meant to kill him, or he's incinerating various opponents or army personnel. But this is still a great series, and I hope your teenage Little G fan will really enjoy. Now, if you're unable to locate any of the various issues of the Dark Horse Godzilla comics, you can find the series in these two collections, Godzilla Age of Monsters and Godzilla Past, Present, and Future. And much like the Marvel collections, these also come in black and white. But it's still a great way to enjoy this amazing series. In 2011, Godzilla found a new home at IDW Publishing, where a new generation of Godzilla artists and writers showcase their work in numerous Godzilla comic series. Here are just a few of them right here. Each one of these series averages anywhere from 5 to 13 issues. And the granddaddy of them all was Godzilla, Rulers of Earth, as you can see here. And unlike any of the other series, this one showcased nearly all of Godzilla and his numerous Toho monsters. Also had a cameo from the American '98 Zilla monster. Now, the IDW books might be a little bit too much for your young little G fans, but that's why there are the Godzilla children's books, as discussed in the last video. And the comic books make a good transition from those early reading years into those preteen to teenage years. Now, of all the IDW series, I definitely want to recommend checking out this Godzilla Rulers of Earth, because if they're a fan of all the old monster movies, you'll see a lot of monsters that were never in the same movie joining up and even fighting against each other, as you can see here with Gigan fighting Kumonga. So I definitely want to recommend and go check out Godzilla Rulers of Earth. Now, most of the IDW series can be found in collections like the Marvel and the DC comics. And unlike the other two, those I believe can be found in color. So I hope you have a good time hunting those down, and really hope you enjoy Godzilla Rulers of Earth in a nice 25-issue long story. Okay guys, here we have the latest additions to the Godzilla graphic novel collection. We have from Legendary Comics, Godzilla Dominion and Kingdom Kong, which are the prequel graphic novels to the Godzilla vs. Kong movie. So each one of these has stories that lead up to the events of Godzilla vs. Kong. Now, each one of these books has, of course, beautiful artwork and very interesting stories. But unless your little G fan really wants to dive deep into the MonsterVerse, these might be a little bit out of their read level, as you will see Godzilla and Kong in some rather interesting predicaments, and these act more as art book stories than anything else. But nevertheless, they are pretty good reads. So I think any teenage G fan would definitely like having these books. Last but not least, we have the brand new series from IDW, Godzilla, Monsters and Protectors. Now, unlike all the other IDW series, I think this one's target audience is the young little G fans in those preteen years, because of the cartoonish style of this particular comic book. As we can flip through it here, we can see that style and the presentation of Godzilla. Something about this comic makes me think of a Disney Pixar movie. It also has a very cute little story. But I think this might be up the alley for all the young little G fans who want to read a nice little Godzilla story right now without having to hunt too hard for all the older series. So check out your nearest comic book store and see if you can get your hands on Godzilla, Monsters and Protectors. Okay guys, I hope you enjoyed this preview of all the Godzilla comic books, old and new. And next up, we're going to get on to our latest segment, Godzilla Storytime. Hello everyone. Before we get to Storytime, I need to tell you about my latest adventure where I got the opportunity to meet the young actress Kailee Haudel, who is best known for playing Gia in Godzilla vs. Kong. Now, she was nice enough to sign my Kong and Me book for my little G fan at her first con appearance in Florida. Now, it was just announced that she will be guest starring at the Anime Matsuri celebration in Houston, Texas, I believe starting on July 8th. So if you happen to be in the area, definitely make arrangements to go to that particular anime convention and get to meet the wonderful actress. She's super nice, and she needs all the support we can give her so we can get her into many more MonsterVerse movies. Now, on the same road trip, I managed to pick up another Godzilla vs. Kong snack at the FYE store. Here we have the Godzilla vs. Kong Ultimate Showdown Blue Raspberry Energy Drink. I've already been asked several times what it tastes like, but I was waiting for a special occasion, like right now, to try it out. So let's take a look. Actually, let's do a taste test. See what it's like. Alright, not bad. I'm not really a energy drink person, so I'm not really sure what to compare it to, but it kind of reminds me of a blue Powerade. That's pretty good. I'm just definitely going to be finishing that while I'm working on some editing. Okay, now with the story time. Today we are going to be reading Little G Fans, Godzilla on Monster Island. Written by Miss Jacqueline Dreyer. Illustrated by Tom Morgan and Paul Mounts. Among the many islands in the vast Pacific Ocean is a special place called Monster Island. It is a tropical paradise of colorful flowers and golden beaches. But people are afraid to visit the island because it is home of many giant monsters, including Godzilla, the king of the monsters. Most of the time, the monsters live together in peace, but Monster Island is small, and sometimes they bump into each other. Then their ferocious roars echo all over the island and wake the mighty Godzilla. When the king of monsters bellows in anger, the scared monsters quiet down immediately. One night, a tropical storm strikes Monster Island. The monsters take shelter from the wind and the rain. They hide inside rocky caves and deep within the thick jungle. The next morning, the storm is over, and Anguirus and Varan take a walk along the beach. They're surprised to see something huge and round sticking out of the sand. Anguirus wonders what it could be. Did it blow in with last night's storm? Quickly, he runs off to find Godzilla. The king of the monsters is taking a nap. Anguirus roars softly in his ear, but Godzilla refuses to wake up. Then Anguirus gently bats him on the nose, but Godzilla simply lets out a long, loud snore. Finally, Anguirus climbs onto Godzilla's stomach and jumps up and down. Godzilla is angry that anyone would dare to wake him, but he calms down when he sees that it's his friend Anguirus. Anguirus motions for Godzilla to follow him. Curious, Godzilla lumbers toward the beach. When Godzilla and Anguirus reach the strange white object, they are surprised to find Kamacuras and Kumonga trying to break it open. The two giant insect monsters are sure there is something good inside to eat. Kumonga pounds with his 8 legs, and Kamacuras bangs hard too. But the giant white ball will not break. Suddenly, a blast of scorching air hits their backsides. They spin around as Godzilla lets out another fiery atomic blast. Yikes! Kumonga turns and scuttles up the beach while Kamacuras takes off with a single flap of his enormous wings. Godzilla feels a sudden rush of cold air whipping up the sand around him. He looks up to see a helicopter hovering above. Someone is taking pictures of the white ball. Whack! A sharp punch knocks Godzilla onto the sand. Stunned, he scrambles to his feet. It's Gigan, one of the meanest monsters ever created. Gigan lunges toward the strange ball, but Godzilla gets there first. He fires an atomic blast that scorches Gigan's scales. The monster roars and staggers backward. Godzilla fires again. This time, Gigan uses his huge tri-wings to take off into the clouds. Godzilla and Anguirus guard the strange object for many hours. But the sun is hot, and Godzilla decides to take a swim in the ocean to cool off. Anguirus watches as Godzilla wades out into the blue water and disappears beneath the surface. Now, Anguirus is left alone on the beach. Why do I have to watch this boring thing, he wonders. Suddenly, he spies a tiny crack on its surface. As he watches, another crack appears, then another. Anguirus can't believe his eyes. Meanwhile, the helicopter that flew over Monster Island lands at a secret floating laboratory. The scientists on board have been studying the monsters for months. Now they want to study the strange white object. They think it is a giant cocoon. We must get the cocoon away from the monsters before they destroy it, the head scientist declares. Prepare Mechagodzilla. The whole laboratory is busy getting Mechagodzilla ready for its trip to Monster Island. Finally, pilots climb into the mechanical monster's head, where they will work the controls. Launch Mechagodzilla, orders the head scientist. Anguirus is getting worried. The sun is setting, and Godzilla still isn't back. A shadow falls across the sand. Anguirus looks up to see Mechagodzilla hovering over him. The robot's cruel yellow eyes glint, and his gigantic steel body glows red in the evening sun. Then an atomic blast shoots out of its mouth. It hits Anguirus, and he roars in pain. A second blast knocks him off his feet. Suddenly, Rodan arrives. He circles the metal beast on his giant wings and pecks at its head. Mechagodzilla lashes out and sends the flying monster tumbling head over talons. Rodan and Anguirus are no match for Mechagodzilla. They need their friends' help, and fast. Rodan flies across the ocean. His powerful wings whip up crests of white foam as he scrims over the waves. Godzilla bursts to the surface and sees Rodan flapping his wings wildly. Something is wrong. When Godzilla gets back to Monster Island, he is furious to see Mechagodzilla hurting his friends. He lunges at the metal monster, knocking it off balance. Then Godzilla shoots an atomic blast at the giant robot's chest. "We're losing power fast," shouts the pilot inside the metal monster. "Let's get out of here." Mechagodzilla takes off into the sky, with smoke bellowing from its arms and legs. That was a close one, the monsters think when Mechagodzilla is out of sight. A loud crack makes them turn around. The huge cocoon is bursting open. The monsters hold their breath as a colorful giant moth slowly emerges. Her name is Mothra. Mothra spreads her strong wings and rises into the air. Bright reds, yellows, and oranges glisten and sparkle in the evening sun. The monsters have never seen anything so beautiful. Mothra gazes down at Godzilla and smiles. A light mist of golden snow begins to fall from her wings. It rains down onto the monsters, filling them with happiness and wonder. All the monsters gather around Mothra and welcome her into the family. Together, they watch the sun set over the horizon. Now, Monster Island is her home too. Oh, a pretty good story. Now, I hope you Little G fans enjoyed that story. And I hope you all enjoyed the comic review. And if you really enjoyed this video and its content, please like and subscribe to help me grow the channel. And until next time, thank you for watching and stay safe.